You ever wonder what happens on those endless highways when no one's watching? When the radio crackles, the lights flicker, and the CB chatter suddenly goes dead. I've heard things, stories whispered by truckers who swore they'd never drive at night again. These aren't campfire tales. These are true. And once you hear them, you'll never feel safe on the open road again. It was just past midnight when Rick, a long-haul trucker from Missouri, stopped at a rest area off I-70. He'd driven that route a dozen times before, but that night the air felt thick, like the silence was listening. There were no other trucks, no cars, just a single flickering light above the bathroom. As he stepped out to stretch his legs, he noticed the payphone ringing. Yes, the payphone. Rick hadn't seen one work in years. He let it ring until it stopped. Then it rang again. He picked up, half joking. "This is Rick," he muttered. A voice, raspy, distant, replied, "You left your door open." His blood ran cold. He whipped around. His truck cab was wide open, but no one had touched it. He slammed the phone down and ran back, locking the doors behind him. That night, he slept with a tire iron across his lap. 3 days later, another trucker was found at the same stop. His cab door open, throat slit, and a payphone receiver hanging off the hook. Then there's Carla, one of the few female truckers brave enough to talk. She was hauling goods through Utah's desolate desert stretch when she saw a little girl standing on the side of the highway at 2:43 a.m. No cars, no houses for miles, just that girl, barefoot, waving. Against every instinct, Carla slowed down. When she opened the passenger door, the girl looked up and said, "Don't stop for him. He walks at night." Then the girl vanished into thin air. Carla nearly crashed from the shock. A few miles down, she passed a man dragging a heavy chain down the shoulder, staring straight into her cab as she flew past him. His face was pale, his eyes completely black. Another trucker, Eddie, shared this on a private truckers forum. He said he was crossing the Appalachian Mountains when his GPS glitched, rerouting him through a logging road. No cell signal, just the sounds of his rig and the distant howl of wind. But as he rounded a curve, he saw lights ahead, floating headlights, bobbing in midair. Thinking it was another truck, he radioed in. No answer. Then his engine cut out. He stepped out into the pitch-black forest. The only sound, whispering, coming from the trees. When morning came, his rig was parked back on the main road, but Eddie had deep scratch marks across his back and no memory of how he got there. He retired the next day and refuses to speak of what he saw between those trees. These stories are dismissed by many, laughed off as sleep-deprived hallucinations, but truckers know. They've seen the shadowy figures pacing abandoned rest stops. They've heard phantom voices over dead CB radios. They've followed GPS routes that led them into nothingness. There's something wrong with the road. So next time you're on a highway late at night and you pass a lone 18-wheeler parked under a flickering light, don't stare too long into the cab. You might see something staring back.